like a sunrise, warming us up. Night drives, cruising on the high life, spending all of our time kicking with you, honey, with you. Honey, with you,
Hey everybody, welcome to Faith and Freedom. Good morning. I'm Shemane Nugent, and I'm so glad that you're here. You know, this week we've had a lot of high-profile stories, from revelations about the origins of the COVID-19 situation, the pandemic and the vaccines, and also to the Biden family receiving cash payouts. But you know what's really making the headlines? The Democrats are hoping that you're going to forget about those things and you're going to focus on their obsession with destroying President Trump. Joining us live now, former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. Sean, welcome.
Hey, Shemane, good to see you. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Sean, let's talk about how the media is obsessed with trying to control the narrative. And MSNBC recently even admitted it. Take a look at this clip, and then I'll get your response on the other side.
Well, and I think that the dangerous, edges here are that he's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts. And it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
Yeah, if you look.
You know, Sean, they want to control the narrative inside the White House press briefing room, which you so graciously gave me and Sarah Palin and Ted and Kid Rock a tour of, and we were even taking selfies in the Rose Garden and in the Oval Office. So we go way back, don't we?
That's right. That was a fun, historic, memorable night, at least for me. And I was reminded of that as that photo. Governor Palin posted one of them the other night on a reel. I know you did as well. And it was a reminder of one of the really fun, good nights. But it was so different back then, Shemane, because we were talking about policies that affected Americans in a very positive way. You heard that clip that Mika just saying, our job in the media is to control the narrative, to control the message. And I think that that's what they really are upset with President Trump, is that he doesn't go along to get along. He doesn't view them as these gods that get to determine what everybody sees and thinks, that he put the American people and an agenda first that puts the American people at the forefront. That's a very different than what we see now. And look, the contrast in the briefing room in particular is just so amazing. I mean, you literally have a hostile press that was opposed to the president, his agenda every day, and one that is complicit in allowing this president and this press secretary in particular to just say whatever they want with impunity, without any level of accountability. And this is what we get. I mean, I remind people all the time, Shemane, not to get off on a tangent here, but think about this. I mean, on a foreign policy level, we've got, Iran, North Korea, an invasion of Ukraine by Russia, hostilities with Russia, China, an invasion of our southern border. And then you look at our southern border domestically, you look at inflation, the fentanyl coming over the border, interest rates rising, all of the banks failing, all of this in 2+ years of Biden. None of this happened under Trump. No banks failed, none of the issues with the border. And so for all of the issues that people had with Trump, in terms of mean tweets and stuff, the country was secure. We were prosperous. Unemployment was at a low rate. We were respected around the world. And think about how much has changed in 2 years. And yet you still have a media that sings Biden's praises on a daily basis as if none of this stuff was happening. And it's not just one thing. I mean, that was just a partial list.
It's like every day there's something new that we have to contend with. And there's something incredibly nefarious about this administration and how they're going after President Trump. They'll stop at nothing. I mean, if he doesn't tie his shoelaces the right way or whatever it is, do you think this is going to continue? They're going to keep trying to arrest him, keep trying to indict him, keep coming after him and his family. Where does it end?
Well, it doesn't. And I'll tell you why. because I mean, look, the bottom line is that President Trump is a direct threat to their agenda, unlike anybody before. I mean, generally speaking, most Republican presidents have sort of gotten along to get along, and they've been willing to go to their dinners and to appease them. President Trump wasn't cut from that same mold. He didn't care about earning their praise and being part of their party circuit, and I think that upsets them. They want to be held on a pedestal and be revered. And he didn't come to Washington to play nicey nice with the Washington Post and ABC News and the New York Times. He came to get things done and shake things up. And I think that is a direct threat to the mainstream establishment media and to basically to the establishment overall, but especially to the media. And so they're not going to stop until he's taken care of. I mean, like, one of the biggest things about this whole case revolving President Trump that I've been tweeting back at reporters is, on its face, it shouldn't even be like the statute of limitations on a bookkeeping error in New York, which is what this is. I mean, that's a fact, is 2 years. In any other case, I mean, that was how you should start every discussion. The event occurred in 2016. It's a 2-year statute of limitations. It's over in 2018. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Some are saying, well, they believe they can get it to a felony. Okay, if that's 5 years, it's still over in 2021. But no one wants to talk about facts anymore because it's in pursuit of getting rid of Trump, and he proposes a direct threat to their existence, and that's the biggest problem. So to answer your question, it won't stop until he's gone.
It's almost as if they're buffering us. You know, they raided Mar-a-Lago and then quietly raided Biden's house. And it wasn't such a big deal, but they made a big deal out of raiding Mar-a-Lago. Right. Now with the Trump arrest, and are they going to go after Biden? Because we know now that the Biden family received cash payouts from China. So it's like there's no there, but there really is. And I think they're going after President Trump as a buffer because the end game, I mean, let's hope that there are some other arrests, because that's just not right. And the American public deserves and wants to know the truth. Do you think the truth will ever get told?
You know, I wish I had a better answer for you. I mean, I guess in a weird way, I hope. And I believe that to some extent, I mean, you see the work that Chairman Jim Comer of the House Government Reform and Accountability Committee is doing. So therefore, I feel like there's enough of a paper trail that hopefully, but I think it's going to be difficult. I mean, look, in any other circumstance, look, why Hunter Biden put out a statement after these cash payments of $1.5 million from a Chinese communist-controlled company were made available, including money to Haley Biden. Why? I mean, and you say to yourself, he puts out a statement saying it was legitimate seed money. What do you mean legitimate seed money to what? To what? And no one asked the question. I mean, somebody tells you, regardless of the fact that it's controlled by a Chinese government, Chinese communist government, that they gave you $1.5 million in legitimate seed money. Most people would say, for what? And no one asked the question. And President Biden, when he was asked, said no. And they all went like, okay, like it was the Lego movie and everything is going to be okay. And it's, I mean, I felt like it was an episode of the Stepford Wives where everyone was like, it's okay, it's perfect. Yeah, this is unbelievable.
The hypocrisy is stunning. And I have been permanently banned on Twitter after a pro-Trump tweet. I was doing a lip syncing video. It was in 2021. And the text was, I didn't say anything, but the caption was calling President Trump. It looked like I was on my cell phone calling President Trump, asking when he's coming back. Boom, I'm out of here. Haven't been reinstated, even with Elon.
Well, I mean, hopefully enough people can get together and raise that to him. I mean, because again, I think he is slowly showing that he is an advocate of free speech and bringing people back on the platform, including President Trump. So hopefully, if enough of us raise this issue with Elon, you'll be back. But the beautiful thing is we now have other outlets, whether it's Truth Social or Getter, that we can at least get our voices heard. So God bless, these other outlets for doing that. But that doesn't mean that we should stop fighting for getting you out of Twitter jail. Yeah,
I know. I am on Truth Social, and I was banned on Getter as well. Like, I don't even know why you're talking to me, Sean. I'm such a bad guy, I guess. But I wanted to talk to you about something else that's near and dear to my heart and yours as well, as an ESG. Tell us about that.
Well, look, I mean, environmental social governance is what we're now seeing over and over again. It was actually Biden just vetoed legislation that would prevented that for factoring that into retirement. I mean, what you're seeing are these big investment firms factoring in ESG, meaning that they can take an investment that they're supposed to be looking after your money and saying, well, we're going to invest in companies that focus on climate change or other initiatives that we deem for the good of the world. I mean, that's not, they literally have a legal, what they call fiduciary responsibility, which is they're supposed to do things that make you money by law. And yet they're getting these outs by saying, well, if we don't have to make you money if we're actually doing, quote, good. And good is in the pursuance of environmental or social justice.
And who determines that, Sean?
You just asked the best question. It's the left. They get to determine whatever that in their mind is the big thing. And so ESG has become the new buzzword. And what happens is, it's so funny, is because these Wall Street guys, in my opinion, wanted to cover their tracks, so they came up with something to appease the left, and the left bought it hook, line, and sinker. But I've been very pleased with a lot of these state governments and a lot of other people who've been fighting the woke left by saying, great, we're going to withdraw our money. You see states like Florida who have a lot of money invested in companies like BlackRock and saying, fine, we're going to take it away from you. If that's how you're going to govern or use our money, then we're going to take it away from you.
Unbelievable. Let's talk about something a little bit more fun. You wrote a children's book. Tell us about that.
So it's right here. It's called The Parents Go Bananas. It's I've written 3 books before. They're all very serious adult books. I got approached by Brave Books, which writes these Christian patriotic books. Kirk Cameron wrote a book. Bethany Hamilton, the surfer, wrote a book. Dan Crenshaw wrote one. And they approach authors in areas that they think they might have something to say. And so they came to me and said, we'd love to partner with you. And I said, well, I know about politics and the media. And they said, well, what do you think? And I said, what if I wrote a book about fake news and the dangers that kids are facing? And so we don't really write about fake news or the media, but we write about a scenario in which the fictional characters in this ongoing saga that Brave Books has going on are accused of something. And they're playing a game of basically baseball in their little mushroom village on Freedom Island, which is where all these things take place in the Brave Book scenario. And they're accused of cheating is really what it comes down to. And kids pile on. I've got 2 12-year-olds, and I worked with them on the book. And these are scenarios that happen all the time to their friends, where they're accused of something, maybe cheating in a game, and then everyone piles on, and that becomes the cool thing to do because somebody, thought that they wanted to go after them. And so the book teaches young kids, and so it's meant for 4 to 12-year-olds. So if they're younger, then maybe the parents read it to them. There's some great exercises and some fun illustrations throughout the book. And if they're older, they read it to themselves. But the idea is that so many kids are taught to pile on. If someone's accused of something, then jump on the bandwagon and pile on these kids that are accused of something. You think of the Nick Sandmann situation where he was accused, for that kid from Covington Catholic School, of irking the ire of the Native American in that pro-life rally. And the Savannah Guthrie and the Today Show and all those other journalists went after him. And then when the other video came out, it was, he's really not that bad of a kid. After, the internet had convicted him and taught about what a bad guy he was. And so, part of this for me was doing something that I could read to my kids that I know would teach them the good in life and what's happening. And so for me, I've enjoyed partnering with Brave Books. You can get these at bravebooks.com. Actually, for the month of March, it's available for $1 if you go and join what they call the Freedom Island Book Club. You can get not just my book, but then you sign up for the subscription model. And like I said, Kirk Cameron, a lot of amazing authors who write something that's Christian and patriotic. And when you've got young kids, you always have to worry about what they're reading or watching. The great thing about the books that Brave Books puts out is that you never have to worry that they're going to be reading something that you don't want them to be.
And that's so important, especially these days. We can't let them control the narrative. So thank you for what you're doing, Sean. How can people find you?
SeanSpicer.com is the easiest way to do it. It's got all my social media handles. You can sign up for my weekly newsletter and stay in touch. Always fun to put out content. And I love staying in touch with folks. So if you email me through there or follow me on social media, we'll get back to you. It might not always be that day, but I love hearing what people have to say, and so many great ideas out there that people have these days about how to combat what we're facing on the right.
Well, Sean, thank you so much for spending some time with us and enlightening us. I hope you can come back again soon.
Always will. Thank you. It's great to catch up with you.
You
and
too.
I hope to see you in person.
All right. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.